Most people believe their opinions are their own, their preferences, their values, their sense of what is right, what is beautiful, what is worth wanting. But psychology reveals something deeply uncomfortable. Most of what you believe you chose. You were quietly handed. Think about the last time you formed a strong opinion about something. A political view, a lifestyle choice, the kind of person you find impressive, the things you decided were worth pursuing. It felt like reasoning. It felt like reflection. It felt like you arriving at a conclusion through your own independent thought. But here is what most people never stop to examine. Where did the starting point come from? Who decided what options were available to consider? Who modeled the behavior you normalized? Who surrounded you with the signals that quietly shaped what felt natural, desirable, correct? Because the unsettling truth is this: most people are not thinking. They are observing the people around them and then mirroring what they see. This is not weakness. It is not failure. It is one of the oldest, most powerful forces in human psychology. It is called social proof, and combined with something even deeper called mimetic desire, it governs far more of human behavior than most people are ever willing to admit. This was not discovered in a modern laboratory. The world's most precise observers of human behavior understood it centuries ago. Machiavelli studied crowds carefully. He noted that most men follow, not because they choose to, but because following feels safer than standing apart. He understood that the person who shapes what the crowd believes is desirable, holds more power than any army. Sun Tzu knew that perception creates reality on the battlefield. Soldiers fight harder for a cause they believe in, and what they believe is almost always what they have been shown to believe by those above them. Robert Greene, in The Laws of Human Nature, dedicated entire chapters to what he called the infection of desire. The idea that human beings do not know what they want until they observe someone else wanting it first. These thinkers understood something psychology has since confirmed with data. Human beings are social mirrors. We reflect one another. And the one who understands the mirror controls the reflection. In the next few minutes, you will understand why most people's desires are not truly their own, and the psychological mechanism behind this. How social environments quietly install beliefs, values, and ambitions without ever asking for permission. Why the people who seem most individual are often the most deeply shaped by the crowd. And how understanding this dynamic gives you something rare, the ability to examine your own mind from the outside. Stay with this, because what follows is not flattering to the ego, but it is extraordinarily useful. In the Epos, French philosopher René Girard introduced a concept that reframed human motivation entirely. He called it mimetic desire. His thesis was simple and disturbing. Human beings do not desire things because those things have intrinsic value. They desire things because other people desire them. Think about that carefully. You did not decide that a certain career was prestigious on your own. You watched others pursue it and signal its value. You did not independently conclude that certain possessions, relationships, achievements were worth having. You absorbed those signals from the people around you. Girard used a simple metaphor: a child in a room full of toys. Place one child alone in a room with 10 toys. They will play contentedly, moving from one to the next. Now add a second child. Immediately, both children want the same toy. Not because the toy changed, because desire travels through observation. The mindset shift here is profound. Before you pursue something intensely, ask, do I want this because it genuinely aligns with who I am? Or because I watched someone else want it first? That question alone will save you years. Psychologist Robert Cialdini identified social proof as one of the 6 fundamental principles of human influence. The principle is this: when people are uncertain about what to do, they look at what others are doing and use it as evidence of the correct behavior. In low-stakes situations, this is harmless. You see a long queue outside a restaurant, and assume the food is worth waiting for. You notice a book on everyone's shelf and pick it up because the crowd has pre-validated it. But in high-stakes situations, career choices, relationships, values, identity, social proof becomes something far more consequential. It becomes the invisible architecture of your life. Machiavelli observed this dynamic with cold precision. He wrote that men will sooner forgive the loss of a father than the loss of their inheritance. Because what people truly protect is not principle. It is the thing they have been taught to value. The scenario, a professional in their mid-30s suddenly realizes they have spent a decade pursuing a definition of success they never consciously chose. The salary, the title, the lifestyle, all of it constructed from a template absorbed from parents, peers, and culture, not from genuine internal examination. This is not an unusual story. For most people, it is the story, the mindset shift. Uncertainty is not weakness. It is the beginning of actual thinking. But here is where this becomes truly fascinating, because the most dangerous aspect of mimetic behavior is not that people copy others without realizing it. It is that the people doing the most copying are often the most convinced they are being original. The loudest declarations of individuality are frequently the most rehearsed performances of group identity. The person who announces they refuse to follow trends, follow a trend of trend refusal. The person who claims to think differently often thinks differently in the exact way their specific group thinks differently. And this is not hypocrisy. It is something more subtle. It is the nature of the mirror. You cannot see the frame you are standing inside unless someone teaches you to look for it. Here is a dimension of this principle that moves from psychology into strategy. Machiavelli understood that those who control what people see control what people want. In modern terms, this is called information asymmetry, when one party in a relationship controls more of the available information than the other. Institutions, cultures, industries, and social systems have always understood that if you shape what is visible and celebrated, you shape what people pursue. This is not conspiracy. It is mechanism. Sun Tzu wrote that the supreme commander wins by shaping the terrain before the battle begins, not by fighting harder on a neutral field. Applied to psychology, the person who shapes what you pay attention to shapes what you want, and the person who shapes what you want shapes who you become. The practical awareness here is not paranoia. It is discernment. Ask yourself, what have I been shown repeatedly? And am I pursuing it? Or has it been placed in my field of vision so consistently that pursuit simply felt inevitable? There is a final layer worth examining here. Robert Greene wrote in The Laws of Human Nature that true independence of mind is one of the rarest human qualities. Not because people lack intelligence, but because the social brain is wired for belonging. Independent thinking carries a social cost. To form a genuinely original opinion is to risk standing outside the consensus. And for a social species whose survival once depended entirely on group acceptance, that risk triggers something ancient and instinctive. The brain experiences social rejection as physical pain. This means that most people, unconsciously, automatically, will adjust their beliefs toward whatever keeps them inside the group, not from dishonesty, from biology. The philosopher who understood this most clearly was perhaps Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic who wrote that a man must distinguish between what is truly good and what is merely popular. The mindset shift. The ability to hold an unpopular belief without anxiety is not arrogance. It is one of the rarest forms of psychological freedom. What Girard, Machiavelli, Sun Tzu, and Greene all understood across different centuries, different disciplines, different cultures, is that human beings are fundamentally relational creatures. We calibrate ourselves against one another constantly. This is not a flaw to be ashamed of. It is the architecture of our species. But wisdom begins at the moment you become aware of the calibration, because awareness creates a choice. Before awareness, you are a mirror, reflecting whatever is placed in front of you. After awareness, you become something more deliberate. You can still observe, You can still learn from others, but you do so consciously, filtering what you absorb, questioning what you pursue, examining what you value and why. Machiavelli said that the wise man must do in the beginning what the fool is forced to do in the end. Begin with examination before desire becomes pursuit, before pursuit becomes identity, before identity becomes a life built on someone else's template. So what changes when you absorb this fully first? You begin to audit your desires. Not with judgment, with curiosity. You ask simply and honestly, where did this come from? And you sit with the answer without without needing to defend it. Second, you observe social environments differently. You start to notice what is being celebrated, repeated, and modeled in your immediate circle. And you recognize that those signals are quietly shaping everyone inside them, including you. Third, you develop what Greene calls the detached observer's eye. You learn to step slightly outside the current of your own emotions, preferences, and assumptions, and look at them the way a scientist looks at data. Without attachment, with honest inquiry. The person who does this does not become cold. They do not become cynical. They become clear, and clarity, genuine, earned, uncomfortable clarity, is the beginning of every form of real power. Most people will move through their entire lives believing their thoughts are their own. Their desires original, their values chosen, their identity self-constructed. And in a sense, they are right, because there is always a self doing the absorbing, the filtering, the experiencing. But the self that never questions its own formation is a self that has been quietly authored by everyone except itself. The work, the real work, is not to reject influence. Influence is inevitable. It is to become conscious of the influence you are under, to examine what you have been handed versus what you have genuinely chosen, to ask, clearly and without fear, who taught me to want this? And do I still want it? Now that I know, Sun Tzu said, know yourself, and you will win all battles. He did not say, assume yourself. He said no. And knowing begins with the uncomfortable admission that much of what you have called thinking was, until now, copying. If this shifted something in the way you understand your own mind, and the minds of the people around you, subscribe for more deep explorations of psychology, philosophy, and human behavior. New insights every week for those willing to look inward. And drop one word in the comments. The word that describes what you are choosing now, that you understand the mirror. Comment it below.